So today I just kind of want to wrap up my series that I'm calling The Nature of Energy. I want to use these theories that I've been talking about to explain the patterns that we see in both atmosphere. I've seen these patterns in the clouds, and I've seen them on what I'm referring to is Saturn's North Pole. Okay, so what I'm talking about is there's like a hexagon type shape. I've seen all different types. Okay, so it can be debated now. Is this a pattern like in a vortex, like using vortex math? Is that like from a centralized source, which would be the core, or is it mass on the surface or on the above surface? And that mass would probably be liquid. It could even be a solid, and it could even just be, like I said, coming from the core and making that vortex into clouds. And there's evidence of that because we see that happening in the clouds here now today. So that's about it. It's about how energy repels. Okay, and both attracts. So the mass is going to be different at these points and in the middle of these points. So yeah, that's about it. So if you've got a really strong source at the center pulling, or if source is on the top, it's going to be a combination of the both of them, right? On the surface is a reaction to what's happening in the core, and external sources as well. But mainly when we're talking about a planetary surface, it's going to be the planet is going to be what's the main principal factor. So you got those energy points, and those energy points want to stay away from each other. So they they stay combined in a cluster, and they repel each other, so they're evenly distributed. And it breaks down if you use the rings or the patterns of Jupiter. It's like I said, how we have our model of the atoms wrong, whereas they got it going horizontal, these lines going horizontally and across and stuff, whereas they're all going circular and in opposite patterns, and that's witnessed in the rings of Jupiter. So that all breaks down. And then what's really cool is that constant red eye. They've said for a lot of years that it's because of a mountain underneath there. Well, the truth is that vortex is connected to that sun. And the vortex has actually changed too. So as the energy connection between the sun and the earth are weakened, that same connection picks up to all the other planets, so that it's picked up to to Jupiter. And that's also why you see the the northern lights, essentially, the aurora of Jupiter's vortexes, or its poles have increased, because the energy going to that source has increased as well, because it's lacking it somewhere else. Yeah, so that the changes that we've seen in the red eye of Jupiter are because it's pulling that mass in. It's sucking more gas away from the planet, and so as it does that, it changes. It's gotten higher in elevation, vertical elevation from the planet, and it's narrowed up because it's just sucking that much more. So I think that's pretty good for explaining what's going on there on the poles and stuff. And that also explains, like cloud formations that we're seeing, because you can say underneath the Earth's core, that kind of same thing is happening. And it's going to be a combination of the two of those, that the masses are going to be evenly distributed, and it's in response to the energy at the core of the planet, and the interaction also going between the sun and that planet is a result too. When you start looking at the energies or the distribution of masses on Jupiter, like we've got really detailed pictures now using the Juno spacecraft mission, it's a lot more sporadic because there's a lot more energy, there's a lot more mass going on there. And so above, you still see those same kind of field lines, so to speak. And yeah, I think that pretty wraps up my Nature of Energy series for now. I'm gonna have to touch on some politics here right away. Looking forward to the UN General Assembly coming up. So yeah, thanks guys.